Yes, my people. So it is now official, according to People Gazette, that the certificate Tinubu gave to INEC was forged. Now, apart from that, this Oyibo guy with the CISO, now be Caleb Westberg, will represent Chicago State University for Curtis Day. Now, not be this thing be the most interesting thing. Now, waiting these People Gazette report about the document where they see the way they fly around. Listen to details. Watch the video from beginning, reach and make share. I mean, they're very important. See, when we
it is official. Chicago State University says Nigerian President Bola Tinubu presented forged certificate to INEC. President Bola Tinubu presented a forged degree certificate to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, when he filed his paperwork to lead Nigeria in June 2022. People Gazette can report based on the testimony of the institution he arrogated, introducing a new but potentially fatal front in the ongoing battle to oust the Nigerian leader for his documented misdeeds from years gone by. The official repudiation of Mr. Tinubu's certificate, the only academic qualification he presented to the electoral office, came at a deposition of school officials on Tuesday in Chicago. An expanded transcript of the session is still being processed, but the Gazette has learned about what has perhaps been the most crucial expectations of Nigerians: how the school would characterize Mr. Tinubu's certificate under oath and penalty of perjury. Who won't go jail? Caleb Westberg, the registrar at Chicago State University, said Mr. Tinubu's certificate dated June 22, 1979 and tendered to INEC on June 17, 2022 was not issued by the school, and its administrators could therefore not be able to authenticate its source, the Gazette learns. Mr. Westberg, CSU's registrar since November 2020, also said during the deposition that lasted about 5.5 hours that Mr. Tinubu did not apply for a replacement certificate, nor was he ever issued one. The categorical statement capped a successful outcome for the months-long legal strategy of Atiku Abubakar, Mr. Tinubu's main opponent, who approached the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois in Chicago to ascertain the authenticity of or otherwise of the documents. Federal District Judge Nancy Maldonado granted a final order for Chicago State University administrator to turn over all documents relating to Mr. Tinubu to the school and also sit down for deposition by an adversarial team of lawyers deployed by Mr. Abubakar. Mr. Tinubu, sensing the intractable consequences of the proceedings, vigorously fought to thwart its successful outcome with his lawyers, warning the judge in a September 21 hearing that releasing the documents with deposition would inevitably inflict severe, irreparable harm against the Nigerian president. The school had long insisted that Mr. Tinubu was its student, entering in 1977 and graduating in 1979, but its inability to authenticate the certificate the Nigerian president submitted would ripple through Nigeria's over 200 million population for the foreseeable future. Previously, in 1999, Mr. Tinubu had lied under oath when he ran for governor of Lagos, claiming he obtained a degree from the prestigious University of Chicago. From the prestigious University of Chicago, not Chicago State University. This University of Chicago is different from Chicago State University. However, he managed to escape being held accountable for the breach because he had been elected before it was discovered, and he did not submit a certificate backing his claim, only an affidavit that was later found to be fiction. And the Nigerian Supreme Court said he could not be charged with crimes as a serving governor. He subsequently stopped claiming attendance at the University of Chicago, holding on instead to a claim that he attended Chicago State University, Argo. One of Illinois State University's campuses traditionally popular among black people. A spokesman for the president was not immediately available for reaction to the development on Tuesday night, but the president's allies have suggested publicly that evidence was inconsequential and propagated the Supreme Court's readiness to throw it out. Imagine. The president's allies are also banking on the muddled circumstances of President's certificate spill, believing his Nigerian lawyer would be able to convince the Supreme Court to focus more on the school's position that Mr. Tinubu was a student rather than how he came out how he came about parading a forged certificate. On Monday evening, shortly after the school dumped records into the electronic filing portal used by lawyers to all parties, Mr. Tinubu's team circulated a mispresented account of the documents, successfully misleading some media outlets to run a claim that the school had authenticated Mr. Tinubu's certificate. They also said a replacement was issued to Mr. Tinubu on June 27, 1997, in what seemed to be a reference to the certificate the school had submitted following a 2022 subpoena obtained from a state court by Nigerian lawyer Mike Enahoro Eba. Mr. Enahoro Eba received the certificate dated June 27, 1979, alongside all academic records of Mr. Tinubu from Chicago State University in August 2022. But the certificate was signed by Nora D. Daniel and Niva Lubin, who were not at the school in 1979, and carried June 27, 1979 as its issuance date. After comparing the certificate he was given by Chicago State University to the certificate Mr. Tinubu submitted to INEC, dated June 22, 1979, Mr. Enahoro Eba promptly returned to Nigeria with the records and filed a criminal complaint against Mr. Tinubu for forgery. But the case was stalled in an Abuja court for months before the election and has not been heard even months after the election. Mr. Atiku used the conflicting records to approach the federal court in Chicago for a subpoena as part of his ongoing case against Mr. Tinubu in Nigeria, culminating in Tuesday's deposition that established Mr. Tinubu forged his certificate in violation of the Constitution. Mr. Tinubu was narrowly declared the winner of the February 25th presidential election, and he was only sworn in on May 29. But today's developments could all but mark a putative end to his presidency due to the constitutional proscription against the submission of a fake certificate to the electoral office. Section 137, subsection 1J of the Nigerian Constitution, amended in 2010, specifically stated that no one would be legitimately elected president of Nigeria if the person has presented a forged certificate to the Independent National Electoral Commission. The records obtained from the school, the deposition and other material collected through the U.S. legal system are now being prepared for onward submission to the Nigerian Supreme Court, where a final decision on the presidential election challenge would be made on or before December 6, 2023.
So yesterday, I discovered that some people of this country, they are not patriotic to Nigeria. They are not loyal to the country. They are not loyal to, they don't care about Nigeria. Whatever happens to Nigeria is none of their business. And I'll tell you why. One of Tinubu's special assistants said something. He said Atiku Abubakar is not decent. That how can he drag Tinubu to this extent just because of earthly position? Someone who has helped him so well in the past when Obasanjo was bamboozling that it was Tinubu that helped him. Like, seriously? So that guy, because of the position he's already enjoying as a special assistant to Tinubu, he's afraid that Tinubu losing his position is going to make him too lose his own position, and so therefore labeling Atiku Abubakar as an undecent person. Now, he doesn't care if the person who sits in Aso Rock forged the certificate. As far as it is Tinubu, no problem. Now, this is my takeaway from that information. I'm still going to make that post separately, but this is my takeaway from it. Do you know that some people have abandoned Atiku Abubakar and the Fulani man that he is and his people, the Fulanis, in this case, and are now accusing the obedience and Peter Obi of this case, as if it is Peter Obi that is pursuing the case? Do you know that? Now, let me tell you, some people are coming out to talk to the obedient as if they are the one that is actually doing this case. Their problem is this, that is only the obedient that is making noise about the whole thing and making the whole world to know about it. That's their problem. That is their problem. They don't know that the obedience, the reason why the obedient is making noise about a case being pursued by Atiku Abubakar is because the obedient are not just obedient to Peter Obi, they are obedient to whoever is doing the right thing. If Tinubu, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing the right thing today, the obedient will become obedient to him tomorrow. If the obedient are obedient to the Nigerian constitution, to the interest of this country, they are not just obedient to one person. If Peter Obi becomes a rogue tomorrow, so the obedient should still support him. Who does that? No. Peter Obi is not my brother. He's not, I don't even know him. I don't even know where he come from. It's none of my business. What matters to me is someone who does the right thing. That is it. That is what matters to us, to the obedience.